Millimuru by Gajeel0828ch17. Chance Rimuru remained silent as he sat next to the bodies. He decided that letting them rest within him. He slowly rises to his feet and raises his hand. "Forgive me," he says as he activates gluttony. "Wait, Rimuru." A voice comes from the distance. Rimuru slowly turns his head to face them. "Thanks for coming, but give me a moment so I can lay them to rest. Please, I know the chances are slim, maybe none, but I know a story of someone bringing the dead back," Aren says. Rimuru falls silent in deep thought as Aren continues. After a second he laughs, catching Aren off guard. "Rimuru, sorry, I was just so happy. Bringing the dead back, huh? Sounds like a dream. But if the chance isn't zero, then I am in. Tell me the story." Before she starts, Rimuru hears from Sue about the enemy camps. Rimuru tells him to keep investigating and gets back to Aren. "Sorry about that, I'd like to hear the story." Before she starts, she reveals herself to be an elf, surprising Rimuru. She then tells Rimuru the story of a girl and her dragon. As she concludes the story, Rimuru thinks about Millim. "I see, so that's your story, Millim. You must have felt so alone. I'll make sure you never feel like that again, just wait for me," he says to himself. But wait, there's no point if they come back with no will of their own. You would be right, but there's currently a barrier up, so the magicules probably couldn't disperse. Notice. That is a possibility. But the chances of bringing them back are about 3.14. I see, as low as pi. But if it means I can bring them back, I'll take it. But first I got to do something about these barriers. They begin gathering everyone to have a meeting on their next move. Everyone attended excluding Yum, Mayulan and Grucius, who is awaiting their judgment. In the meeting, Rimuru tells them the story of a girl and her dragon and that the chances of success are slim. He also reveals his past life. The meeting goes just like canon. As they all leave to get ready, Benimaru stops Rimuru. "Are you sure you want to do this, Lord Rimuru? I rather not lose you as well. Do you think I will fail? No, I know you will succeed, I have no doubt, but I don't want you to lose yourself in the end. I understand, but I have to do this if it means I can bring them back." Benimaru remains silent for a time. "If I do lose myself, Benimaru, will you kill me?" "What are you saying? You are the only one I can ask this of. The one I trust the most." Benimaru lowers his head. "I understand. I don't think I will lose myself, but how about we come up with a code to know if I remained the same?" Benimaru raises his head, feeling better because of Rimuru's confidence. "How about Xian's cooking?" "Huh? When I say Xian's cooking, you reply taste like shit." Rimuru and Benimaru laugh and agree to it being the test. They then head Goyum and his group. When Rimuru enters the room, they all rise and remain silent, waiting for their judgment. "Mayulan, I've decided that you will die." Grucius rushes Rimuru but is stopped by Benimaru. "Yum, take Mayulan and run," he yells as he is slammed and held down. Yum goes to grab Mayulan, but she kisses Yum and head to Rimuru. "Thank you, Yum, I'm glad I met you, but this is where we say goodbye." Rimuru's face remains emotionless as he wraps Yum in strings. Mayulan and Rimuru are facing each other. In the next moment, he slams his hand into her chest. Yum and Grucius begin crying before hearing Rimuru say, "So it was a success." They look up in shock as Mayulan stands there. "Fine. I gave you a new heart, so you're no longer under Clayman's control. He now believes I killed you, which is part of the plan." Yum is freed from the bindings and he runs and falls to his knees, thanking Rimuru. Mayulan bows and thanks him as well. "Yum, I'd rather not lose you, but I expect this to never happen again. And Mayulan, this is only temporary. If you want to stay, you are to assist in the revival of everyone." They are shocked at his word, but Mayulan agrees and says, "You freed me, so I'll help however I can. My life is yours. I'll let you know your part when the time comes. And remember, if you wish to live, you will do everything in your power to make this a success," he says, leaving with Benimaru, leaving them in the room. "Was that wise, Lord Rimuru? Honestly, I don't like her and would have rather killed her, but I can't lose you. But with this I have both Yum and something against Clayman." "I see, I understand. Shall we go get prepared?" Benimaru nods as they head to where everyone else is preparing to head out. When everyone is ready, Rimuru stands in front of them as he grows wings and takes flight. He faces them. "Failure is not an option now. March forward and hold nothing back. Make sure you make it back safely." They all then head towards their objectives. "I'll bring them back and then I'll come take you back, Millim," Rimuru says to himself. Ch18. Evolution. As Rimuru heads toward the main force, he comes across a small group of Falmouth soldiers heading the same way. He slows to consider if he should dispose of them now or when they meet the main force. He soon decides to let them meet up with the main force. He then flies ahead, but then his arm flies back toward the group and shoots multiple icicles at them, killing them all. He stops and looks at his hand. What the hell was that? He's asked, looking at his hand in confusion. Great Sage, did you cast it? Notice. You are the only one to activate a skill in the area. Rimuru remains still in confusion for a few moments before clenching his fist and flies toward the main army. As the army comes into view, he remains calm and keeps his eyes on his hands. Let's hope whatever that was, it doesn't happen again, he says, raising his hands and cast anti-magic area, and then Megiddo. As he collected souls, he flew down to face the king and someone who appeared Japanese. Are you the one of the people who attacked my home? Rimuru asked in a calm tone. The faces, but the mind is differ. Before he can finish, he is struck down like the others. Rimuru looks at his hand again. Again activated on its own. What is going on? He asks himself before facing the king. And you too are? Rimuru asks calmly. Ruler of monsters, you are showing such rudeness. The man says, pointing at Rimuru. Kneel. Rimuru begins to approach. I am the great king of Falmouth. Before he realized it, his arm hit the ground. As he begins to scream in pain, Rimuru looks toward the other man and asks if he is really the king. The man speaks out, saying he is the king and he is the Archbishop of the Western Saint Church Reheim, and that he will testify that Rimuru is no enemy to mankind. He offers, begging for his life. I'll leave him alive for interrogation, he thought. Remain silent and don't move a muscle. Reheim nodded and sat on his knees with his head on the ground. Rimuru turns to the king, kneeling down to him and grabbing his head, raising it. Look carefully at the being in front of you. If you believe that I am a nice person, you are sorely mistaken. Now speak, he says in a dark tone, releasing the king's head. The king begins to say it was all a misunderstanding, that he only came to establish friendly relations with Rimuru, and that he had no clue that his men would do such a thing. While the king spoke, Rimuru's mind went blank. He then saw a town in ruins with someone sitting in the middle of it alone. He is then snapped out of it when Great Sage spoke. Notice. The analysis on the unique skill Merciless is complete. Do you wish to use the skill now? Rimuru looks the king in the eyes and says, yes. The skill activated and killed all but the king and archbishop. When all the soldiers fell, the king looked around in shock. What happened? Notice. Due to the use of Merciless, the required souls for evolution it met. Rimuru looks to the king and says, all that are still alive are you too. It's too bad. If only you weren't the king, I could have taken all my anger out. But, I'll leave that to Xian, he says, releasing a lot of bloodlust, making the king faint. Notice. The harvest festival will now begin. Rimuru then falls to his knees, completely drained of energy. I can't collapse here, he says, dropping the anti-magic area and summoning Ranga. Take me back and these two as hostages, he says weakly. Sir, notice. A survivor has been detected with magic sense. Huh? Then I'll summon some demons to find him, he thinks to himself as he goes to summon. Master, in this state you should NT. Ranga says before Rimuru replies with, don't worry, even like this I should be able to manage. He then summons 3 demons with all the bodies as offerings. Rimuru tells them to find the survivor and bring him in, but don't kill him. The demons bow and accepts. But before they leaves, the head demon stops them. Please allow us to serve you from now on, he asks. First prove you can be of use to me, Rimuru replies. The demon smiles and bows his head as they head back to Tempest. As Rimuru begins to drift off into unconsciousness on Ranga, he sees the man sitting in the ruins again, but more clearly. He sees the person in a black cloak and black mask with red markings on it, but then everything goes black. He awakes in a ruined town. As he makes his way to his feet, he looks around in confusion. Wasn't I heading back, Yo Tempest? Where am I? He thinks to himself. Ranga? He calls out, trying to summon him, but gets no response. What the hell? Great Sage, what's going on? He is then met with silence once again. He tries to remain calm and decides to explore the ruins. After a while he gets this strange feeling like someone is watching him. He ignores the feeling and keeps walking, but then he begins to feel like he's been here before and the layout of the ruins feels familiar to him. He eventually makes it to the center when he sees the man in all black. "Where are we?" Rimuru asks the man. The man looks up, revealing a mask identical to Rimuru's but black with red decals and a red crack on the side that seemed to glow. "Doesn't this place seem familiar?" he asks. "We are home."